So thanks, Arjun, again, for hosting an awesome event, and to the Capital on Stage crew. It's always good to be back. As you said, we've been, I think this is our 5th consecutive event, so always good to be here and meet the new entrepreneurs. I wanted to tell you, so just before I talk about a portfolio company, I just want to give you all a little bit of context, so tell you a little bit about me and about Accel, just to paint a picture. So my background is, you can tell by my accent, I'm actually from the US. I moved to London about 5.5 years ago from San Francisco. I've been at Accel for about 2.5 years. My background is actually in mathematics and engineering, so I had all the good intentions of becoming an entrepreneur myself, but after a very brief try at that, I realized it was extremely difficult, as Paul rightly pointed out, and decided to become an investor instead. The team at Accel in London is actually quite small, so there are only about 11 of us, and we have very diverse backgrounds, so from career investors to very successful entrepreneurs and operators. But we're very much standing on the shoulders of giants. So Accel started in the early 80s in Palo Alto, and over about 30 years of investing, we've partnered with some phenomenal entrepreneurs, including Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, Drew Houston at Dropbox, Ilka at Supercell, and many, many more. And those are the guys that we really consider part of the Accel extended family and are really what make Accel a unique place. And so what I wanted to talk to you about briefly is a few lessons that we've learned over the course of Accel being in existence. We've invested across a variety of technology cycles and have learned a lot from the many winners and the many unfortunate outcomes that we've backed. The first lesson that we've learned is that innovation comes from areas beyond the West Coast of the United States, and also that venture capital is very much a people-oriented business, which is why we have people on the ground in the U.S., in Europe, and in Asia, which sounds like a very intuitive thing, but you'd be surprised by how many global venture capital firms are structured in a different way. The second lesson that we've learned is that great companies come in all shapes and sizes, which is why we tend to be relatively stage agnostic. So just to highlight that with a couple of examples, we invested in Supercell, which is a mobile gaming company, before they had a game. And at a slightly later stage, we invested in Kayak once they had proved their model in the US and were looking to expand into Europe. And on the kind of even more mature end of that spectrum, this year we invested into Xero, which is a accounting software company for small businesses, which is actually a public company. So we kind of do span the whole spectrum from the very early innings to the very later stages. But what all of those companies have in common is they have the killer teams. They all have the potential to be category leading companies, and in those 3 cases, they all were category leading companies, or are. And the final lesson that I just wanted to highlight is that chance favors the prepared mind, which is a Louis Pasteur quote, which you'll find on Accel's website, but something that we firmly believe in. And while you can't always know when you're going to intersect great companies or great entrepreneurs, we try and be prepared. And so we spend a lot of our time debating, everything from how VR and Bitcoin and, mobile gaming will impact the world, and try and be smart about it so that when we do meet, the next Mark Zuckerberg, we're ready and we can invest with conviction. And so then just to kind of highlight, all of that with an example, I'll use Supercell because that's, a fantastic story that has, culminated this past year. So as I mentioned, we invested in Supercell before they had a game, and the conviction came largely from knowing the founding team. So before Supercell, we were actually investors in another gaming company called Playfish, who introduced us to the digital chocolate team, where Ilka and his crew were working at the time. And through a lot of convincing, one of our partners, Kevin Kamoli, got to know the team extremely well, built a lot of passion for where the mobile gaming market was heading, and pounded his fist on the table and said, we should get into this early because it's going to change the world in very profound ways. And he was right. And I think what the lesson to take away from that is, it's very much about the passion and conviction of the entrepreneur. And also, we have to believe that the world is going to change in a fundamentally interesting way, and that's a theme that we're bending on. So that's it from us, for me. If you have any questions, I'll be around later. Thank you.